It looks like Steve Harvey still hasn't forgiven Shannon Sharpe for giving Katt Williams a platform to diss him. So Steve Harvey was on the Pivot podcast earlier this week, and on the podcast, he called Shannon Sharpe disloyal and clickbaity in so many words. So Steve Harvey is still upset that the Katt Williams and Club Shay Shay interview did about 90 million views and counting. It's the most watched interview in YouTube history. And Katt Williams in that interview, for a large chunk of it, is calling Steve Harvey disloyal, calling Steve Harvey a snake, making accusations that Steve Harvey snaked a couple of his friends. Is not a good look for Steve Harvey at all. And Steve Harvey knows he could do 1 million interviews up until his death, correcting whatever Katt Williams said on that interview. But the interview just did so many views that it don't matter like how many interviews Steve Harvey do, it would never reach the audience that Katt Williams reached when Katt Williams was going off on him. So here's what Steve Harvey had to say on the Pivot podcast about Shannon Sharpe.
Y'all got a podcast and you're doing it brilliantly. Please don't stop doing the way you do. See, the problem with people is they get something that work and then they want to find something that work better. You ain't got to fix it if it ain't broke. See, I'm on radio for real. I have a real radio show. I have the #1 adult contemporary show, 25 to 54 in America. The Steve Harvey Morning Show. I'm at 112 markets. I got 9 million listeners. I'm controlled by FCC rules. The problem is, these people go get these podcasts who have no FCC rules to abide by. But you have to remember, even though you're on a podcast, you still got a brand.
Yeah.
And so you can't say what you want to say and expect to be relevant and not get canceled. You can't have a podcast and the way that you think you can make money is on clicks and views at the expense of others and not expect to have to pay the expense. You can't have a podcast and light me up and don't expect to get lit up. You can't have a podcast, let somebody come on your show and talk about your friends.
So obviously that's a reference to Shannon Sharpe. Now he makes it more obvious later on by just outright saying Shannon Sharpe's name, but he's referring to what Katt Williams said about him on Shannon Sharpe's podcast. If you guys forgot, well, let me remind you what Katt Williams had to say about Steve Harvey on Club Shay Shay.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit.
What made this Katt Williams interview so potent for a lot of Katt Williams' enemies is because whatever Katt Williams said, you could do a quick Google search and figure out he wasn't lying. Because when Katt Williams said this about Steve Harvey, all people had to do was just pull up what Mark Curry said about Steve Harvey not so long before.
So what's up with you and Steve, man?
Ain't nothing with me. Well, Steve stole my material on his show, so I had a beef on that.
On what show?
When he was on the bullshit talk show he had, and he did all my Halloween material one Halloween. I'm watching, somebody called me and said, man, homeboy doing your material. So he did my whole Halloween run. And I know he didn't think of it. You know, this is true stuff that really happened to me. And so my thing is, you didn't have to do that, homeboy. Right. So, you know, you made enough money. You know, wow. You made enough money, you did enough. You know, why are you on my material?
Right.
You know, what's that about?
Then when you look at the two sitcoms where Katt Williams is claiming that Steve copied Mark Curry, I mean, it's similar aesthetics. So this is why, like, Katt Williams in this interview did a lot of views and it was potent, was because it appeared that Katt Williams was telling the truth about a lot of things. Katt didn't just stop at Mark Curry. Katt would also attack how Steve Harvey did other people wrong, and he would also say, Steve Harvey wants to be a movie star. He could never really pan out to be a movie star, which is why he's jealous of other people who became movie stars. And he always tried to downplay it as if he didn't want to be a movie star.
Then you asked it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good, baby, and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You would have to have range. I played a lot of characters, 60 movie roles. I'm not playing Katt Williams in there.
I don't know, Katt. We might not let you drink anymore the way I mean, we ain't even got...
I'm not fueled by alcohol. I've had a sip, less than you. This is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history. Guy Torrey did a beautiful special about the Comedy Store and Fat Tuesday, where he said that Steve and Cedric and Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish came through there and made... All lies. Steve and Cedric never performed at the Comedy Store at all. Tiffany was only seen at the Laugh Factory. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about.
Steve will address Katt Williams in a way, but it would feel like the majority of his issues is with Shannon Sharpe. Now, his logic is, listen, if you have a guest on, and the guest is talking about your friends. Now, I don't know how close Shannon Sharpe and Steve Harvey was. I do know that Steve Harvey did do Shannon Sharpe's podcast before Katt Williams. Steve Harvey was one of like Shannon Sharpe's bigger interview. I think at that particular time, Steve Harvey was the biggest interview on Shannon Sharpe Club Shay Shay before Katt Williams came on. But nonetheless, though, right? Steve Harvey believes that Shannon Sharpe owed him the respect of shutting down a conversation when his name came up. Which, if you're going to give Steve Harvey, like, that respect, then you kind of have to give that respect to other comedians because they will ask, hold on, Shannon, you shut the conversation down when Steve Harvey came up, but you didn't shut it down with my name, and now you have more problems on like, your hands. So if that's the case, you then, you damn near shouldn't do the interview then, right? Because then Kevin Hart could ask you, hold on, Shannon, like, why you shut it down with Steve, but you let him, go off on me?
You can't have a podcast, let somebody come on your show and talk about your friends.
I agree.
Okay, you got a podcast. Y'all got a guest on here. And he starts slamming Fred. He knows something about Fred, happened in the past, will lie or not, and just starts slamming Fred. Y'all got to shut that down.
Yeah.
Because this your brother. You got to protect him. And you got to protect the brand. They don't do that no more. So you come on my show, you spread all these lies about some people that I call my so-called friends, and I just let you sit there and check it. And because your podcast had so many views on that right there, your next guest is the same type of guest. Because now you want your money to be made off clicks and views at somebody's expense. Well, now guess what? You got to pay for that. Because once you put it out in the universe that I want clicks and views, the universe does not differentiate. It just gives you clicks and views. So now, here they come the rest of them. And now you got clicks and views.
Mm-hmm. My question to that, though, is there was the podcast, and there was a comedian who talked about you. And you waited a while before ever responding to Katt Williams. Mm-hmm. But when you responded, it felt like there was a lot more vitriol to your response than it was all of the initial accusations. Why do you think the response to what you said was so different from what he said on Shannon's show?
When you say vitriol, what you mean?
The social media fodder was upset with you for the way you finally responded to him. Mm-hmm. You mentioned his height and what you could do if there was ever an altercation. They said they felt like what he said about you was true because of the nature of your reaction.
Oh, well, see, first of all, I ain't really good at social media, so I didn't even know that was out there. But they can, like, really kiss most of the corners of my ass. when you say stuff like that. First of all, man, let me say this.
I don't know the relationship between Shannon Sharpe and Steve Harvey. So I would need to know the relationship before I could tell you if Shannon Sharpe owes Steve Harvey some type of respect or a shutdown. What I would say though, there are industry friends and there are real life friends, right? If an industry friend, let's say we're cordial, right? He do YouTube, I do YouTube. You know, like we talk probably once in a year. That's an industry friend. Now, do I owe that industry friend to shut down every conversation that pops up about them? I don't. What I do owe them, though, is the respect for me not to talk trash about them. What I do owe them, though, is the respect to give them a heads up. Hey, man, this dude was on my podcast. He said this about you. It's coming out. I owe you that respect. But do I owe you whenever a guest open up their mouth to talk about you? Nah, hey, bro, nah, chill, bro. You can't talk. No, hell no, no, hell no, bro. No, I don't owe you that. Now, if you're my real life friend, if you're somebody who I grew up with, I hang out with every day, your op is damn near my op. So if you come on, you know, like you could say your 1-2, you feel me? Like say your piece, but when you start getting into trying to disparage, trying to tear down, trying to murder my friend's character, I gotta shut that down. And that's just out of loyalty and respect, you know? Now, Steve Harvey came on a Pivot podcast, like on some like Kumbaya, Mamet Gandhi type stuff, right? But when he was on the Earn Your Leisure, as he just referenced, Steve Harvey was on violent time. Steve Harvey was talking about, man, I'm gonna knock you out when I see you.
Ass hater who is, and you'll never have a hater that's doing better than you. Always know that. Don't get off the wall to dress some pity any ass boy who ain't got shit going for himself. Now you done stopped your climb up on the wall so you can come down here and talk to his little punk ass. Don't do that, man. I stay away from it. Now do I want to? Yes. Because I'm a human being and I'm hood. I used to be a fighter. And I still got hands. They slow, but if you get up on me real close, I can still knock your monkey ass out. I just don't have the quickness I have. But I still know how to turn my hip and shift that weight, and I knock your short ass out. I shoot your perm straight out your head.
The stuff with Mark Curry, that's verifiable. You could kind of go on the internet and see that Katt Williams is telling the truth. But the other stuff with Bernie Mac and other people that he included Steve Harvey or claiming that Steve Harvey lied about being homeless, I don't know. Only Steve Harvey would know if he was homeless or not. But if Steve Harvey is saying that Katt Williams was bastardizing his story and Katt Williams disseminated falsehoods and lies about him to 90 plus million people, if I was him, I'd probably want to tussle or shoot the fair one over that too. I'd probably want to rock a couple of jaws if that's me, okay? Now, I'm not 68 years old, so I don't know, all right, what my mindset would be at that particular age. Bro, at 68, I could give a damn what anybody has to say about me, bro. Bro, I'm trying to live and die at that point, bro. But me right now, nah, bro, like I got to see you. So at that point, he was mad. Now it looks like Steve Harvey is kind of off that. And he would try to lowboy Katt Williams moving forward, but he would also say that he's open to a resolution and you know, he's open to talking to Katt Williams and squashing it.
And I probably, see, first of all, when I said that, I was on stage at Earn Your Leisure. Mm-hmm. I was really just joking. I slap your perm, all this. I was just in front of a whole lot of people. I was really just joking. I don't really, if I had a chance to talk to Katt about anything, I would just ask him what's wrong. Just what's wrong. Let's go to that. Listen to me, man. Just because a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true. That just don't mean it's true, man. And I probably shouldn't have said anything. That's a regret I have. I really shouldn't have said nothing. Cause we not in the same league, dog. We shooting at two different baskets. I shouldn't even have said nothing. And so really, man, I think I would apologize to him if he took offense to what I said. I was joking, but I would apologize to him. And like I said, if I had a chance to sit down with him, I would just say, hey, man, what's wrong? But you got to look at the whole tone of the interview. If the whole tone of the interview is what everybody else ain't, what everybody else ain't got, what everybody else doing, I think that's kind of like hate and jealousy. And hate and jealousy is a form of grief. You're grieving because obviously all them people you talking about have something you either want or are something that you ain't. And you're grieving. And the funeral becomes the podcast. So now let me roast all of these people.
Maybe it's my algorithm and what I watch, but I wouldn't say that Katt Williams and Steve Harvey are not in the same category. Like, I wouldn't think that Katt Williams is like way beneath Steve Harvey for Steve Harvey to say that, right? Like, I don't feel like that's the case, right? Like, I feel like when it comes to Katt Williams and Steve Harvey, in terms of the culture, Katt Williams and Steve Harvey are on the same level. Maybe Steve Harvey feels like, yo, I transcend Black culture. I'm on Family Feud. I'm in a whole different ball game than Katt Williams, so I don't need to respond. I'm cool, man. But at least he's willing, to squash it with Katt Williams. But that's my thing, though. How are you willing to squash it with Katt Williams, but you still got a problem with Shannon Sharpe, Do y'all feel like Shannon Sharpe did something wrong? Do y'all feel like Shannon Sharpe owed Steve Harvey loyalty? Let me know in the comment section, okay? And if you're still watching, click on this video here somewhere on my screen, here, or here to find out how the Patrick Bet-David podcast just tried to destroy Candace Owens, but it backfired badly. And now they're losing subscribers and their audience is turning against them. Click on this video right here to find out exactly what happened. I'm going to see you guys in this video. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.